Greetings everyone, and welcome to my coin collection. Today's coin is a $5 proof coin released by Australia in 1994 to commemorate 100 years of female enfranchisement. A bimetallic, non-proof version of the coin commemorating the same achievement was also released in a credit card style coin card. It's important to note that this does not mean that all women across the country received the right to vote in 1894. However, the state of South Australia did grant women the right to vote and stand for public office in state elections in that year, the first state to do so in Australia. If you've watched some of my other videos, you might recall that I previously profiled a coin with a similar theme from the United States released in 2020. When Australia was initially colonised by Europeans in 1788, the colonies were run by appointed governors, essentially autocratic, although English law was transplanted into the Australian colonies through what is known as the Doctrine of Reception. As reform movements swept Europe and the United States at the end of the 18th century, similar ideas began to move across the British Empire, and in 1850, the Australian Colonies Government Act granted representative constitutions to the colonies. They wrote constitutions, producing democratically progressive parliaments, although all created constitutional monarchies, with the British monarch as the symbolic head of state. In 1855, South Australia became the first state to give the right to vote to all male British subjects 21 years or over. Victoria followed in 1857, and New South Wales in 1858. By 1896, universal male suffrage was the norm across the country. However, it took longer for that right to be extended to women. The woman whose face is featured on the coin is Mary Lee. Born Mary Walsh on the 14th of February 1821 in Monaghan Island, in 1844 she married George Lee, with whom she had 4 sons and 3 daughters. By 1879, Mary, now widowed, sailed with her daughter Evelyn for Adelaide to nurse one of her sons. Although he died the following year, they remained, and Mary set herself the task of improving the world around her. Initially, she became Ladies' Secretary of the Social Purity Society, working for legal changes in women's sexual and social status, and this resulted in substantial alterations, including raising the age of consent to 16, being incorporated in the Criminal Law Consolidated Amendment Act of 1885. Although propertied women in the colony of South Australia had been granted the vote in local elections in 1861, this did not include state parliamentary elections. Mary Lee inaugurated the South Australian Women's Suffrage League in July 1888. Working tirelessly through making speeches, writing letters and organising petitions, she was rightly given credit when, on December 18, 1894, the Constitution Amendment Act was passed, making South Australian women the first in Australia to gain the parliamentary vote and on the same terms as men. Additionally, it gave them the right to postal votes and to stand for Parliament, and these were unique provisions anywhere. Behind her head it reads, 100 Years Act of the Constitution, 1894 to 1994. Women's Suffrage League and Political Equality. Vote women for Parliament on the same terms as man. Democracy. Mary Lee, 1821 to 1909. The obverse of the coin features the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, wearing the King George IV state diadem. As a result of the actions of Mary Lee and people like her, in 1901, when the first election for the Parliament of the newly formed Commonwealth of Australia took place, it was based on the electoral laws of the 6 federating states, so that women who had the vote and the right to stand for Parliament at a state level had the same rights for the federal election. In 1902, Commonwealth Parliament passed the Uniform Commonwealth Franchise Act 1902, which enabled women 21 years of age and older to vote at elections for the federal parliament, even though some of the states took a few years longer to catch up. However, shamefully, this franchise was excluded from women and men who were Aboriginal natives of Australia, Africa, Asia and the Pacific Islands, unless accepted under Section 41 of the Constitution. Most did not get the vote for federal elections until 1962, and in all states until 1967. This is an impressive coin and deals with an important part of Australia's history. It shows that individuals can have a significant impact upon the society around them. I hope you've enjoyed looking at this coin with me. If you have, perhaps you would like the video and leave a comment down below. You might also consider subscribing so that you do not miss any of the upcoming coins from my collection.